We're leaving China and heading south to the country of Cambodia and the city of Siem Reap. We're arriving late, and it's about midnight by the time we get to the hotel. Right away, we notice people act very differently here. It seems like everyone we meet greets us with a bow and praying hands. Most of our time here will be spent touring the ancient ruins. The temples and the canals are the most obvious remains of what was once a large metropolis. And today we're starting with one of the largest, Angkor Wat. As we are walking in, we pass the ruins of a small temple. Our guide Rab said this is one of many that dot the area. Peeking through the jungle, we get our first view of what they call one of the Lotus Towers.
To Cambodian people, the Khmer call it Nokorisma.
This whole building wasn't built as a residence, but as a temple and a mausoleum for the king's ashes. The one thing I'm most surprised about is the detail on the carvings and how well they have survived exposure to the jungle. This mural depicts a Hindu recreation story of a tug-of-war between gods and demons pulling on a giant snake. We were really surprised that the windows were made out of stone spindles, turned on a lathe, then embellished with detailed carvings. In addition to the intricate carvings, the interiors were colorfully painted, but only a few remnants of the paint has survived. So this is all a history.
This is the mythology about Lord Brahma, the seventh reincarnation of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu.
Outside the temple area, there's a small market for the tourists, including local food. But no time to stop, as we head on over to our next temple, Prom. Prom was abandoned in the 15th century, allowing earthquakes in the jungle to take its toll. But now it's slowly being restored, keeping its unique relationship with the jungle intact. Rong explained how the religious changes between Hindu and Buddhism over the years took its toll on the many temples of the area.
This king converted the religion to Mahayana Buddhism, and all the previous king had always been a Hindu king, and the people too had always been part of Shiva, part of Vishnu. Then this king, he converted the religion. After this king, the next generation to come, they again converted the religion or changed it back to Shiva, Hinduism. Then they start to destroy all the Buddha, all of the Buddhist image. Like here, they try to remove all of the Buddha. Then, in retaliation or revenge, the Buddhists destroy Shiva. Back and forth.
Rab pointed out in a crack these spheres about the size of a baseball. He said they were snake eggs. This temple we were standing in right now was just a mound of rubble before they rebuilt it. And here's a before and after picture. And there's still a lot of work being done, this time with the help of cranes. Now that we're out of China, our guides are contracted through a third-party company. One thing we noticed is lunch is a little less flexible. Preset menus, and you have to pay for your own drinks. We hear a story about the Takeo Temple as we head on over to our next destination, the Bayon Temple.
The temple was struck by lightning. It's a sign of bad luck. They believe the temple must have been cursed by God. If you take a look at the wall of the city, it's really high, 8-meter high, 3 by 3 kilometer long.
Bayon is a temple that stands in the ancient capital city of Angkor Thom. It is known for the large smiling faces carved in its towers, as well as a large series of bas-reliefs depicting history, mythology, and everyday life.
This is Siam people, and this is Cambodian or Khmer. Khmer, they almost have no clothes, right? Be a lot of their body. And then we have Chinese. Chinese people. Right here. Chinese people. It's easy to recognize they were Chinese because of the small eye and the beard. The beard. Chinese people.
A hell of a history.
The history, It's just like a book full of history, full of legend.
As we were leaving, we came across this troop of monkeys by the side of the road.
Pigtail macaque.
Pigtail
Yeah, because you just see it tail like a pig, right?
Oh, kindly tourists bring the water to drink, you see?
Our next stop is a workshop called Artisans Angkor. This is a combination of craft studio and school. The artists here train the students in the ancient arts and crafts of the Angkor area.
So this again, this side here. So it's like sandal. This side here about 15-20 days to top.
That night we didn't feel like taking the long walk into town, so we just ended up having a small pizza at the hotel restaurant, and to our surprise, having an incredible chocolate mousse. The next morning we drove an hour and a half into the countryside, passing through a number of small towns on our way to Ben Mili.
The truck bring the rice. This season now they start to buy collect the rice from the local people, and they get a lot of rice put on the truck. They export to Thailand a lot, to Vietnam, to any country.
This temple wasn't in as good of condition as the ones we saw yesterday. Rab said that in the 1970s, all these buildings were intact. Then during the war, the Khmer Rouge planted landmines here and destroyed many of the buildings. It is this area that Princess Diane was raising money to remove those mines before it was reopened to the public in 2014. During our walk, we saw a few large spiders, but then we came across this giant walking stick. Poor guy was missing a leg. Since this area is known for its mahogany, we asked if we could stop by a shop to take a look. We were surprised at the reasonable prices, but some of the pieces were just way too large to even consider. But imagine what some of this stuff would look like at home. After another 50-minute drive, we were at the Bantay Srei temple. At the information site, they had this interesting timeline comparing the Angkorian temples with other monuments around the world. Bantay Srei, also considered the women's temple, is dedicated to the Hindu god Shiva. This was one of my favorite temples, constructed of red sandstone. It is small, but it's beautifully decorated. These carved tablets of religious text are written in the ancient Indian language of Sanskrit. Throughout the trip, we had a lot of dragon fruit, but until today, I never knew what the plant looked like. After another big lunch, we headed back to the hotel, passing some beautiful rice fields. Our last activity in Cambodia is a sunset tour of the countryside on quad ATVs. After stopping to watch the sunset, Marianne's ATV wouldn't start, and they had to call in to send a replacement. But it gave us some time to enjoy the serenity.
Is there something in the water or something?
Fish or bugs?
You see the people, they stand with the small net.
They throw nets.
They are fishing.
What kind of fish?
So a lot of kind of fish. Especially the people, they need the catfish. And then sometimes you can catch some swim koi or some snail also.
Nice and quiet.
Yeah, so very quiet.
That night, we ended up at sort of a seafood barbecue. We picked out some shrimp, and they cooked it in a tasty garlic sauce. That, along with some stir-fried rice and a drink, made a nice farewell meal to Cambodia. Tomorrow morning, we catch an early plane to Bangkok.